Imagine a future where our worst mistakes become celebrated and only connection with our true mother can save us. Saul Luckman shows us, by bringing them to life in this remarkable novel, that the Gnostic mysteries hold the ultimate key to our collective salvation. Andrew Foss, astrogardens.com. Cali the Destroyer highlights a little-known yet critically important fact. This award-winning novel's primary subject involves the single most censored story in the history of the human race. That story is the Gnostic telling of the true nature and origins of the Earth and humanity. According to scholar and author John Lamb Lash, who first retold the story in the modern era, this empowering, world-altering narrative was the real reason for the holy wars and inquisitions against goddess-worshipping peoples everywhere that resulted in a genocide count of millions of souls over the centuries. More topically, the story seems to be the real reason this kind of thing is still in full swing today. Consider Operation Warp Speed, a historical black eye on our civilization the novel addresses. The most important story never told is a rabbit hole full of rabbit holes. And it points the finger directly at the source of evil, as we experience it. The proverbial puppet masters manipulating the strings of religions, monarchies, governments, corporations and armies to coordinate a multi-generational inhuman agenda to subjugate and eventually destroy humanity. Today various well-known terms are employed, rather loosely and interchangeably, to denominate our would-be controllers. But to the ancient Gnostics, whose teachings were so threatening to the Catholic Church, and presumably true for that very reason, they were systematically destroyed until they were effectively erased from the collective memory. The ultimate powers that be behind these terrestrial tyrants have a specific name: Archons. Some scholars, unable to contemplate the disturbing implications of the Gnostics' teachings, have suggested this term referred to humanity's worldly enemies. In other words, our so-called leaders who, seemingly impossibly, unless their actions were coordinated by a hidden hand connected to a single undying brain, have led the planet's population steadily down the road to self-annihilation through transhumanist assimilation into a Borg-like hive mind. But in his groundbreaking reinterpretation of the Gnostic texts, Lash leaves little room for doubt that by Archons, the Gnostics meant an extraterrestrial race of virtually immortal thought parasites who over the centuries have controlled our leaders, their terrestrial proxies, through a form of mind control operating through reality simulation. The ultimate target of the Archons, so it would seem, is not so much humanity as the Earth itself, which by any logical interpretation of the Gnostic writings is a divine being called an Eon, known as Sophia, and not a typical planet at all. We're literally talking about Mother Earth, the fallen goddess demonized by Catholicism in Fallen Women from Eve to Mary Magdalene out of a twisted desire to separate the archotically hypnotized masses from their power source in the divine feminine. Cali the Destroyer takes Lash's academic exposition of the fallen goddess scenario and recasts it as a fast-paced work of fiction capable of both entertaining and informing. The novel's epigraph is taken from one of the foundational Gnostic texts known as On the Origin of the World. In this quote, which seems a perfect description of the current historical moment in which nothing is real and everything is lies on this prison planet, Sophia gives the following prophecy to the Lord Archon, who thinks he's God, but is actually just an overweening, sightless windbag with little actual power beyond his ability to trick the human mind into believing his enslaving fabrications. You are mistaken, blind one. There is an immortal child of light who came into this realm before you and who will appear among your duplicate forms, in your simulated world. And in the consummation of all your works, their entire deficiency of truth will be revealed and dissolved by this luminous child. Please share Cali the Destroyer far and wide so that more people can reconnect with our origins, identify our real oppressors, and assert our goddess-given sovereignty, our true potential as Sophia's luminous children. Experience Cali today. solluckman.substack.com